What you see here is what we call the fastest rotavator in the Midwest. It's arguably probably one of the fastest rotavators in the country. Now, it's not that there's anything special about this rotavator. By the way, there is something special about this tractor. It's been jacked up a bit. It's actually sporting two radiators to cool it down. It's putting out about 240 horsepower into a 160-inch wide rotavator. By the way, what's unique about Bob Solverson, who has a dairy farm in Viroqua, Illinois, is that without reading a book, going to a meeting, or having a consultant, he's an outstanding biological dairy farmer, meaning the biological life on his farm is extraordinary. And it's because of the way he's been farming this ground since he took it over from the previous owner. By the way, in 2010, at the conclusion of 2010, that will be the 52nd year that Bob Solverson has been rotavating. It's something his dad taught him. And Bob has been rotavating and not plowing, not chisel plowing, not disking since he started rotavating. What you see here is the rotavator working in alfalfa. He's rotavating alfalfa in the fall to kill it. He has not spread any manure on it. There will be manure spread on it next spring because he has an alfalfa to corn rotation, in which case he'll put manure on it in the springtime, then rotovate it once more. And between the two rotovations, that will kill any of the grasses that are in the alfalfa as well as the alfalfa itself. The alfalfa by itself is very easy to kill. You just cut the crown loose from the stem and it dies. Now, when he rotovates the corn stalks in the fall, that is simply to accelerate the decomposition process. He typically shreds his stalks in a separate operation. Then he runs the rotavator to get the best possible residue soil mix for rapid decomposition. Then he rotavates it, the corn stalks again in the spring, and finishes off with a field cultivator to make the ground as level as possible. Then out comes the brilliant seeder, which is a drop seeder. And he found that shredding ahead of the rotavator and every step that he makes for better decomposition and a better stand of alfalfa, because the drop seeder does just that. It just drops the seed on the ground. The rear cast iron roller on the brilliant seeder presses the seed into the soil, no greater than the depth of the width of the soil, I should say, and he gets the best possible germination. He's getting the best germination because he's got the best seed-soil contact rather than seed residue contact, and the ground is drying out faster because it's darker, it's absorbing more of the solar energy, and he's also managing his nutrient cycle better. Now, in the corn stalks, he told me he was going 7 miles an hour. In the alfalfa, he told me he was going 9 miles an hour. And here, in a little while, he'll be running in manure, roughly 18,000 gallons per acre manure, just applied out of a side delivery honey wagon, and there he's going 11 miles an hour. So this somewhat dispels the myth that rotavators only go slow. The important point to understand is that if conditions and objectives allow you to go faster, you can go faster. There are times where you of course need to speed the rotor up to speed the rotation of the blades up to keep up with the faster forward movement of the tractor. But ultimately, if your conditions and your objective allow you to go faster, why not? You do not always have to go slow. Sometimes conditions and objectives require you to go slower to do a good job. And that's the whole idea of rotavating, is to do a better job than any other tillage tool at a certain objective. Do it right, do it properly in that pass so you don't have to make another pass, thereby saving hours on the tractor and compaction, preventing compaction in the field from multiple trip farming. What's also interesting about Bob Solverson's farm is he used to have contour strips, but many of those strips have been removed, and what you see here is his farming up and down some of these hills. But because of his outstanding soil biology, he has little to no erosion. In fact, the NRCS has always watched what Bob does. They try to apply standard formula to a predicted erosion pattern on his farm, and the erosion just does not develop because healthy soil just doesn't erode. Soils that are in the proper balance with that have good chemistry, that have wonderful biology the way Bob's ground does, they just produce a wonderful soil physical structure, and erosion goes away. Now Bob, as you'll notice, pivots quite rapidly. At the end of his run, he just lifts the rotavator up. He set a predetermined stop on his three-point mechanism that prevents him from raising the rotavator too high. And once the rotavator is up where the wheels have cleared the ground, he hits the brake, and that rotavator comes around quite quickly and gets him back going in the opposite direction. All these videos are in the fall, and what you see here is 18,000 gallons of liquid dairy manure just applied. It's not wet underneath, it's still dry underneath. It's just applied. The honey wagon is out of the field of view. It's going back home for another load. But in a minute, you'll see the tractor getting up to full speed. There he is. He's up to full speed now. And if you look closely at the material coming out the back of the rotavator, you'll see dust. And so what he's doing is it's a very high-speed incorporation of the wet on top with the dry down below. That's why you see the dry coming out the back. No big chunks. Anything large you see coming out the back would be a corn root wad. What looks like to be very wet soil, in fact, is manure that was flowing down from the higher ground to the lower ground, but he incorporates it just as soon as the manure spreader is out of the way. What his father taught him years ago was the concept of never spreading any more manure than what you can incorporate before the sun goes down. That's done for environmental reasons and to make maximum use of that wonderful resource we call manure. Now what you also notice here is no duals. I'm sorry, he does have duals on, but that's not for the rotavating. That's for hauling honey wagons, because he's got two tractors, and either one of them is capable of powering the rotavator and pulling a honey wagon. That's a matter of more rubber meeting the road for braking needs. But as you'll see, the tractor's front wheel assist, the rotavator is helping propel the tractor forward. And if you look at the tractor, it's staying remarkably clean because the tires are not slipping at all. What you see is just a natural cleaning of the tractor tire as it spins but because the tire is not slipping, it's not throwing wet soil all over the place to get the tractor filthy as well as the rotavator. Now this ground will be it'll probably be going to corn next year, in which case he will just rotivate it in the spring. He might field cultivate it if he feels that's adequate given the conditions and his objectives. But the idea is that whether he rotivates or field cultivates, that's all he will do in the springtime. That's all that will be necessary. Again, here in a moment, notice the dust actually coming out the back of the rotavator, representing the dry soil beneath the very wet soil on top. Now the corn was removed in the form of silage, but this could be combine corn as well.